The pomp of history on Moscow's birthday, the choice of celebration for Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. He spoke of the capital's great historical strength, like that of motherland Russia, while it was left to the city's mayor to voice defiance a month on from the declaration of war against Georgia.
Moscow's history is a severe and timely reminder to those who are today circling our country with military bases, missiles and radar. It is a tough and direct signal to the puppet regime of Saakashvili, who is a military criminal and fully responsible for the deaths of many hundreds of peaceful people.
A tone suggesting a grim mood ahead of crisis talks in Moscow with the European Union. French President Nicolas Sarkozy will be calling to demand Russian troops return to the rebel states of South Ossetia and Abkhazia, positions held before invasion. At risk, a breakthrough EU partnership deal with Russia.
The European Union will huff and puff and use a lot of words, but Moscow knows that it's divided and will basically do nothing. It's against sanctions. The European Union will not, in fact, put sanctions against the Russians. But in the long term, Russia will lose because they need the goodwill, they need technology, they need know-how and so on. But in the short term, the Russians can sit this out because they know that in 6 months or a year's time, the Europeans will more or less have come back to square one, and they'll be saying it's business as normal.
In Georgia, tensions have been heightened by the glowering presence off the coast of USS Mount Whitney, the flagship of the US Mediterranean Fleet, ostensibly delivering aid, but putting American boots on the ground just a few kilometers from heavily armed Russian checkpoints. Moscow insists the troops are peacekeepers, maintaining a buffer zone. Prime Minister Vladimir Putin's arrival in Ossetia at the height of the conflict demonstrated the stakes involved, while the more recent appearance in Georgia of the hawkish US Vice President Dick Cheney made apparent matters are far from being resolved amicably. So, a month on from the start of conflict, and a roadmap for peace looks uncertain still. Richard Bestic, Al Jazeera.